You think your government's harsh? Imagine living in a world where one wrong word, one raised eyebrow, could cost you your head. Not metaphorically, literally. France, 1793. A nation that fought for liberty now drowns in fear. This is the reign of terror, the revolution that devoured its own children. It began with hope. It ended with blood. Revolutions rarely die the way they're born. They start as a cry for justice and end as a scream for control. France was supposed to be free, its people tired of kings, corruption, and hunger. The streets buzzed with the words liberty, equality, fraternity. But freedom, it turns out, has a dark price tag. The poor were starving, the rich were oblivious. And King Louis XVI, completely detached from reality, pushed a desperate nation past its breaking point. So they rose up. They stormed the Bastille, tore down symbols of tyranny, and declared a new dawn. The monarchy collapsed, the old order crumbled, and for a brief moment it felt like justice had won. The guillotine was introduced not as a tool of terror, but of fairness, quick, humane, equal for all. But soon, its blade became the heartbeat of fear. Each drop of that blade was meant to protect the revolution, but instead it poisoned it. Enter Maximilien Robespierre, a lawyer, a visionary, a man obsessed with virtue. He began as the revolution's conscience, its voice of reason, but reason can rot when mixed with power. Robespierre believed in a world purified of corruption, where only the virtuous would survive, and he believed terror was the only way to get there. He said, "Terror is nothing other than justice, prompt, severe, inflexible." And those words became death sentences for tens of thousands. The Committee of Public Safety, 12 men, one purpose, protect the revolution at any cost. But who decides what's safe? Anyone accused of treason, real or imagined, met the guillotine. Priests, nobles, peasants, poets, even children. It didn't matter. The guillotine demanded equality, and it got it. Every sunrise brought fresh carts of prisoners rolling through Paris, faces pale, lips trembling, some praying, some silent. Crowds gathered to watch. Vendors sold bread and wine as heads fell into baskets. It became theater, death as entertainment. The revolution had killed its king to destroy tyranny, only to crown new tyrants in his place. Fear spread faster than any army. Nobody knew who would be next. A wrong joke, an old friendship, even silence could be fatal. Because silence meant suspicion. The same people who shouted freedom now whispered prayers not to be noticed. And here's the dark truth. People accepted it. They believed killing was justice. That fear kept them safe, because once terror becomes normal, it becomes unstoppable. But then came the moment when the revolution began eating its own. Georges Danton, the thunderous voice who helped spark the uprising, started questioning the endless bloodshed. "This is madness," he warned. "Revolution should have an end." Robespierre didn't like that. He accused Danton of corruption. The trial lasted 2 days. The verdict was decided before it began. As Danton stood at the guillotine, he told the executioner, "Show my head to the people. It's worth seeing." Moments later, the blade dropped. The crowd roared, and with Danton's death, mercy itself was executed. Robespierre grew colder, stranger, holier than thou. He started preaching about moral purity, declaring himself the guardian of virtue. He even created his own religion, the cult of the Supreme Being, and marched through Paris in white robes, smiling like a prophet while blood soaked the streets behind him. By now, even his closest allies feared him, because Robespierre didn't need enemies anymore. He made them. By 1794, people whispered, "Who's left to kill?" But the machine had momentum. Each day, more names were read. Each day, more heads fell. Paris reeked of iron and decay. The reign of terror wasn't law, it was ritual, until July 27, 1794. The day everything snapped, the National Convention turned on its leader. They called him tyrant, outlaw, murderer. Robespierre tried to speak, but they shouted him down. He was arrested, along with his loyal followers. That night, in chaos and panic, a bullet shattered his jaw. Whether by suicide or an officer's shot, nobody truly knows. The next morning, Robespierre, the architect of terror, was carried to the same guillotine he'd worshipped. His face bandaged, eyes wide, unable to speak, he trembled as the crowd that once adored him screamed for his death. The blade fell. The reign of terror was over. And in that moment, Paris exhaled, but the air was still thick with ghosts. 17,000 official executions, tens of thousands more dead in prisons, massacres and purges. Cities like Lyon and Nantes wiped clean in blood. France had decapitated its monarchy, its clergy, its revolutionaries, and finally, itself. The dream of freedom became a nightmare of suspicion. Liberty became a word whispered with fear. People didn't fight tyranny. They recreated it in a new form. That's the tragedy of the reign of terror. It wasn't just about death. It was about how easy it is for justice to mutate into vengeance, for ideals to twist into fanaticism, for ordinary people to become executioners. All it takes is fear and the belief that your side is the only righteous one. But let's not forget, the revolution did change the world. It shattered the idea of divine kings. It inspired democracy, human rights, and modern government. But the cost was catastrophic. The guillotine didn't just end lives, it silenced faith, trust, compassion. It proved that when we trade humanity for purity, we lose both. The people of France learned that lesson in blood. So when you hear someone say, the ends justify the means, remember the streets of Paris, where citizens cheered as their heroes died. Remember Robespierre, who thought terror could build virtue. And remember that the reign of terror didn't end because it failed. It ended because it succeeded too well. It made everyone afraid to live, because in the reign of terror, no one was innocent, no one was safe, and no one could escape the blade.